Business ownership has never been hotter, but how do you do it? That's where I come in. Allow me to guide you on your journey. Welcome to Ion Franchise. This episode sponsored by SEO Samba. Empower your franchise with predictable results and AI-driven marketing. Coming up on this episode, everybody's crazy about a sharp-dressed man, and guess what? So tell us, Mr. Sharp-Dressed Man, what was the vision? This is a modernized mobile tailor service.
Yeah, for sure. Well, when you walk into the office, it's all eyes on you, and you go, who is that guy?
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another fabulous episode of Ion Franchising, and I'm your host, as if you did not know, Lance Graulich. And I'm excited about this one because everybody's crazy about a sharp-dressed man. And guess what? I got a sharp-dressed guy right here, Nathan Pearce. He's the founder of Pearce BeSpoke. And they are, I wrote this down because I'll screw it up, modernized traveling tailor service. How do you like that? Well, welcome, Mr. Nathan. How are you?
I'm great. How are you doing? Thanks for having me on.
Did I do well? Did I do okay here?
You crushed it. You crushed it.
So tell us, Mr. Sharp-Dressed Man, what was the vision? This is a modernized mobile tailor service. Obviously, there's a need. Where did this idea come from?
So I have actually been in clothing literally since college. I mean, that's all I've ever known. It's all I've ever done.
Otherwise you'd be naked.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So my dad owns an auction company in Birmingham. I went to school in Jackson, Mississippi. My dad called me and he goes, all right, when are you coming home? You got to take over this auction company and we got to look at getting you involved. By the way, I had my auction license when I was like 14 years old. My dad said I could be anything I wanted, but until then I had to get my auction license and I had to be involved with the family business. And
so do you really know how to talk that fast as an auctioneer too?
So I used to be much better at it, but unfortunately, some of that stuff just sticks with you.
Yeah.
But
we'll have you auction off something at the end, okay?
Yeah, awesome. So he called me right before I graduated and he said, all right, when are you coming home? And I said, Dad, I'm not coming home. I started a t-shirt company. And he said, that is the stupidest shit I've ever heard. And I said, all right. And that was, like any good dad would do. It's a t-shirt company. And he came to my graduation, and I don't know how it worked out like this, but he was like, all right, tell me about it. And we hit $1 million in sales that week. And by the end of that year, we ended up doing close to 2 million in sales. And I started that company with $2,000. And yeah, probably did something even crazier. I took all the money that we'd made, and my business partner and I, at 21 years old, opened up a manufacturing company with the money. And this little poverty-stricken town in South Mississippi where LL Bean used to make their clothes. And we had about 100 employees in the first 2 years of business, and I got into the manufacturing business.
And what were you manufacturing? Clothes?
Yeah, so we were making T-shirts is what it started with for our brand, and then it turned into polos, and then it got into dress shirts. I found out these old LL Bean operators knew how to make flannel button-downs, so they already knew how to sew. I didn't have to teach them anything. They just needed the equipment. So we bought it, and what started with T-shirts got into polos, got into dress shirts. We were in about 1,000 retail stores across the country. We were doing private label, wholesale, and we were selling online.
Wow. That's amazing. So where did the actual suits and all that come in?
So it came in. It went from T-shirts to polos to dress shirts. One of my clients was a master tailor that used to buy my dress shirts. And when I sold out of the factory business, was ready to go build something new, my master tailor client called me and he was like, well, what are you going to do next? And I said, I don't know, I'm going to build another brand. And he goes, no, you need to get into the suit business. And I said, you're nuts. I don't know anything about suits. And he said, just come look at it. I'll show you. So I spent months that summer. He convinced me to come travel the country with him. And I would watch him roll into these appointments with bankers and politicians and real estate agents and attorneys and pro athletes. And he would roll in. He was a traveling tailor. He had his briefcase, and he was about 80 years old. And he would go in with a tape measure, and he'd measure them up. He'd lay out the fabrics on their desk, and he'd guide them through the custom clothing buying process. And at the end, they'd pay him up front, and he'd go, it'll be done in a couple of months, and I'll come back, and I'll set up a fitting with you. And I got to tell you, I just freaking fell in love with it. I thought it was the coolest model I'd ever seen. He got to dress up every day. His margins were great. And I thought, yeah, he's way smarter than I am. He had no inventory. He had no retail store. He had basically no overhead. And his margins were insane. And everyone paid up front. And I was like, if I can do this, I can teach anyone how to do this. And he retired, and I moved to Baton Rouge, met my now wife, and I thought, if I can sell suits in the swamps of Louisiana, anybody can sell suits anywhere. And that was how I got started.
That part of your slogan now, if I could sell suits in a swamp, so can you.
That's it. That's it. That's exactly right. And that was how it started.
So you launched in Louisiana officially, I guess. Now, where did the idea of franchising this concept come from?
Yeah. So what started was me being what I didn't realize was really an owner operator in the beginning. It was me guinea pigging it and testing it and seeing if I could actually sell custom clothing. And I would dress up. It was first step is looking the part. And I would hang out and position myself in places of wealth, country clubs, yacht clubs, cigar lounges, high-end hotels, around universities and conventions and expos and happy hours. And what I kind of caught on to was everywhere I went, people would go, man, I love that suit. Where'd you get it? And I got to tell people that I made it. And I'd go, what's your schedule like next week? I'd love to show you some fabrics and show you what I do. And that was how I got started. And it caught traction pretty quick. I started slinging, building up a really big database of customers that became friends of mine, to be honest. And the better I knew them, the more I could sell them, because I knew their special events and what holidays were coming up and what they already had in their closet. And it turned into a pretty substantial business pretty quickly. And the whole franchise concept idea came from, I thought the only thing better than me slinging suits and making big margin would be if I could hire some sales reps that could make money for me while I was on vacation. And I hired my first sales reps, paid them commission only. It's actually a very similar model that we have for our semi-absentee model today, which is a 50-50 profit split on everything they sell. Our margins on the product is about 70%. So it's a very healthy margin for a sales rep who's, if they're selling, a decent amount of suits, 4 suits a week, makes them $118,000 a year as a commission only sales position. So it kind of turned into this semi-absentee approach where I just managed my sales reps, help them book major accounts and position them to be able to build their own book of business. And a lot of them were 9-to-5 retail store people. So, what would you rather do? Open a retail store and wait for people to come to you, or work your own hours, create your own freedom, make commission, but you get to do B2B partnerships and hang out at universities and casinos, et cetera.
So using your math as an owner, as a semi-absentee owner, if you have 2 salespeople and you're splitting that 50-50, you're making over $218,000 a year, $230 or so.
Right. And it replaced me pretty quickly, right? It was a numbers game. The more people I hired, the quicker and faster I could replace what I was able to sell. And don't get me wrong, I still sell suits as the founder and CEO of the franchise company.
Because you like it.
I like it. And it just goes to show how good the money is. Yes. I have clients that buy 4, 5, 6 suits a month from me, and it's reoccurring like clockwork. And it's because of the service, though. It's not just the product that's great. We built this entire franchise company around, we're the suit guy, we're the suit girl. And that means if your button breaks and it's not our fault, we're going to come pick it up, we're going to replace it, and we're going to bring it back to you. And we don't charge you for that. If you lose 15 pounds, we're going to come in, pick it up, pin it, alter it for you, bring it back. It's how can we make it as convenient as possible for our client? Yeah. And that's why we built a good book of business.
That's crazy. So how do you make it easy on franchisees throughout the country? Do you go out and select who's actually tailoring this? Because clearly the franchisees probably not going to have the talent to make these suits or even tailor.
Yeah, love that question. So actually the way it works is we tell our candidates there's no clothing experience needed and there's no cut and sew experience needed. In fact, I think one statistic that blows people's minds is we have 42 territories sold in just under 2 years, which is 26 franchisees. We do it all in-house. And out of those 26 franchisees in 42 territories, 0 of our owners have clothing experience. And it just goes to show our model kind of represents people that have a passion for clothing, but they haven't necessarily been in it before. And the way it works is we help our franchise owners partner with local alteration shops. And that's why there's no cut and sew experience needed. So an example of this would be, Lance, if I just fitted you up for a suit, it's going to come in 3 to 4 weeks. It makes us one of the fastest delivery times in the industry, in the country. I come back with it to put it on your back and make sure it fits how you want it to fit. We call this the preferences, and we call it a fitting. I put it on you, and you might go, Nathan, now I like it a little bit more modern fit. I want to tighten it just a little bit. Okay, -1 inch in the arm. And you might go, you know what? I want it a little tighter in the ankle. I want to taper a little more. -1 inch, I create the taper. Then my job is to just bring it to the local alteration shop partner. They make the tweaks. I pick it up 2 or 3 days later. I bring it back and I go, hey, your suit's ready. Let's put it on again. And that's how we go back and forth to fine tune it based on how you want it to fit.
And you'll help a new franchisee vet those potential partners, because some of those alteration shops are pretty talented and others are not.
Yeah, for sure. And the good news is there's a bunch of them. So there's a lot to select from. We actually have a checklist that we go from. And it's just your criteria of quality. Look for these things to make sure it's a good partner. Affordability. They got to fit within this price range in order for it to work, to make sure you're getting the margin that you need. Speed. Like, we're giving them a lot of volume versus the one-off here and there that are dropping off something. So we negotiate rates, and we also want to make sure we're a priority when you're altering our garments.
Yeah, absolutely. What about the making of the suit?
Yep. So the reason I even tell most people about my manufacturing ownership background is it's probably because we're the first and only custom clothing franchise in the country. I think the barrier to entry for not only the space, but franchising in general, you merge the two together, that's a pretty tough barrier to entry. Yeah. And without that manufacturing background, it's tough. I mean, think quality control standards and logistics and supply chain and technology, all the things that you need in order to make this work is actually my background since college with owning factories. And it was why I was actually able, with obviously the help of an incredible team, assemble a model that scaled so rapidly.
So are you making the suits yourself?
No, so actually I have partnerships. There's no middlemen. We've partnered directly with some relationships that I built over the years when I owned a factory. So textile mills and tailor shops. These are all European fabrics that are actually stocked in some of the best tailor shops in the world in Asia. In fact, when I first started, I used to make most of my products in Italy. And I quickly shift that production from Italy to Asia because the side-by-side comparisons with some of our Asian tailors, everything's made one at a time for you and you only. But the handmade details that are in our garments, I'd put them up against anyone else in the country.
That's awesome. So what does a typical suit cost? We'll get to what the actual franchise investment is, but my first curiosity is, I want a suit. What does it cost?
Yeah, our suits start at $900 actually. So it's super affordable, something we're proud of. And it's something that allows our franchisees to be able to sell a much wider demographic, a much wider population. There's a place for the $5,000 suit guys. It's not really inside a franchise system. We want to target a couple of things that most people don't. Young professionals is one of them. And that kind of relates back to the affordability that we really go after. So they start at $900. Our average ticket is about $1,500. And then it can get up to $2,000, $2,500. But that $1,500 place point is kind of our wheelhouse. That's really where we like to live. And like I said earlier, yeah,
I'm sorry. Keep going. Sorry.
I was just going to say on that 1,500, like I said earlier, you've got that 70% product margin as a franchisee.
And custom shirts as well?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So it's not just a suit company. Custom shirts, long sleeve, short sleeve. We do sport coats. We do trousers. We do suits. We do overcoats, raincoats, all custom. Later this year, we're releasing our women's line. And then early next year, we're coming out with our custom knitwear line, which is going to be custom polos, pullovers, quarter zips, turtlenecks, everything you can imagine in terms of more casual wear as well.
How about a tie?
So really, we can do ties. We have people place orders for ties all the time. What we try to avoid, and this is more for our franchisees' benefit, is making sure they're not stocking inventory. It's kind of the benefit in our model versus your mom and pop retail store. You don't have a retail store. You don't have a lease. You don't have inventory that you have to stock. Part of the problem with inventory is when seasons change, these retail stores have to discount the hell out of it, right? They go on sale and then you're selling it at cost so that you can reinvest in inventory again and get ready for the next season. For us, all we do is swap out fabric books.
Yeah, I love it. So what is the investment in this particular mobile, modernized, amazing tailor system?
So two models. We have the owner operator model and the semi-absentee model. The owner operator model is really where we're looking for the salesperson that looks the part. Someone that maybe has a fashion background, but even if they don't, realtors, insurance agents, mortgage brokers, people that are just tired of the job that they're doing. But this is the salesperson that loves to build a book of business. That model's 75 grand all in investment, 49.5 franchise fee. And it is a 200,000 population based on zip code. And then the semi-absentee model, really the only difference is you're hiring clothiers or sales reps instead of running it yourself. This model's a little more. It's 85 to 95K all in investment. And that's just based on how many sales reps or clothiers do you want to hire as a franchise owner. Some of our franchisees want to build an army. It's a numbers game for them, and they like managing people. Some of them don't want to deal with the headaches, and they only want 1, 2, 3 sales reps. But that all-in investment's really based on getting your sales reps the things they need to be successful. So the trunk here, give me 2 seconds. Watch this.
Sure.
So this is the trunk that all of our sales reps or clothiers carry around.
There's no junk in that trunk, is there?
No junk in the trunk. It's literally just custom fabrics, buttons, linings, everything you need fits inside of it. But it's our showpiece, right? It's a mobile concept. What we really want is that when a clothier or an owner walks into an attorney's office, a bank, a financial advisor's firm, or a country club, you know the tailor's there. And this is our way of staying mobile, staying lean, but still allowing them to have that showpiece to kind of show off.
I love it. No, it's a classy looking trunk, and you know somebody's serious if they're carrying that around with them.
Yeah, for sure. Well, when you walk into the office, it's all eyes on you, and you go, "Who is that guy?" And it's, that's the owner, or that's the executive's, tailor that's here.
So Nathan, the world of franchising is filled with people that are essentially escaping something, a corporate job that they hated. They felt maybe they didn't have the time or they couldn't write their own schedule. They were maybe maxed out on money. Clearly there's a unique opportunity here. But if you're going to line up out of all these new franchisees of yours over the last couple of years, what did they really do? Like the 3 best franchisees, without naming them, what did they do before? And why did they pick you? And why did you pick them?
Love those questions. What they did before, all over the map. I have an AI executive. I have a regional insurance manager who had hundreds of insurance reps underneath him. I have a top business broker. I have franchise consultants that are buying it because they love looking the part and they love what it represents and they're good at sales. I have every industry you can imagine across the board. But why me? And I think it really boils down to, look, the model's awesome. Don't get me wrong. I might be a little biased, but it's low cost, huge margins, low overhead. And at the end of the day, I tell people most franchises are boring and ours isn't. It's fun. It's exciting. It's a feel-good business. I tell everyone we do 2 things at Pearce BeSpoke. We create convenience for our customers by saving them time, the most valuable resource we have. And that's by replacing a button or altering their garment so they don't have to go back and forth to a tailor. They get a suit guy, and we save their measurements in the system to make it simple for them. But the second thing is create confidence for people. And we do that through our perfect fit guarantee. We do that by allowing people to build product based on how they want them to look, based on whether they like to peacock or dress a little bit more conservatively. They feel good about themselves because the product fits them and only them. And I think it's all boils down to, we're a fun, feel-good business, and life is short. And if you're going to buy something, you might as well buy something that you're going to enjoy and you're going to wake up excited about.
I have to kind of roll back a little bit on what you said. They like to peacock.
Yeah, dress a little louder. The guy that wears the peak sport coat and the yellow stripes. You got the guys that peacock.
Got it. I like it. Well, the peacocks are usually prim and proper and sitting up. So when it comes to the process and how you're selecting franchises, is there a validation process where prospective franchisees can now speak to existing franchisees about their success and find out what was the hardest part that they experienced, all that good stuff?
For sure. 100%. So we actually have a pretty quick process, and it's because it's mobile. And we move at the speed of the candidate. But ultimately, we line up as many validation calls as they want to get on. And what we've found is usually it doesn't take more than 2 or 3 to hear the passion in our franchisees' voices and how excited they are about the business for someone to kind of make a move. But yeah, we got validation. We'll set them up with it. I literally just set one up the other day, and the guy did like 9 validation calls. And people move at their own speed, and we don't pressure them. We don't push them. I actually do 2 founder calls with every candidate. One of them is more of who we are, how it started, what's the founder story. Yeah. And then the second one is more of, I'm also a franchisee. So it allows them to kind of pick my brain about, when it started versus where it is today and what's my role as a franchisee now that I'm running the franchise company. There can't be much time that I can actually allocate into my franchise.
Yeah, no, that all sounds great. Now, when it comes to, let's say, marketing, how does that work? What is this launch process? Everybody that's picking a franchise, the smartest people, are looking for that value. Like, what is this brand doing? This brand isn't. Do I see myself doing X, Y, Z? Am I going to enjoy this? Hated my job. I better get into something I like. Yeah. And then some people just go for the money. They might look at an electrical franchise and say, well, it's okay. I don't know anything about it. I'll hire people for that. But this is fun, and you get to make money. I mean, because everybody, man, and when I tell my wife this, she's going to want us to buy a franchise because she buys me clothes all the time, and she loves the custom stuff. So it's always difficult to find too. But talk about the marketing. So I become a franchisee. What does that launch process look like to get you on the map in every local area?
Yeah. What's really cool about this, unlike most franchises, is we're billboards for what we do everywhere we go. And I tell people, without looking the part, without dressing the part, that's half the battle. And the second part of this is really the community play. It's being a part of your community. It's joining the Chamber of Commerce, joining BNI groups, young professionals, every networking group that you have in your territory, either you on the owner-operator level or your sales reps or your clothiers on more of the semi-absentee level need to be a part of all of that. Because at the end of the day, those are literally your clients. They're other business owners. They're executives. They're, the guys that are running the banks and the law firms. That's who you want to be around, and that's who you want to be dressed up when you're around them. One of the examples I give all the time is, if I'm in a gas station and I just got out of the gym and I'm in T-shirts and shorts, and some guy walks in an awesome 3-piece suit, I'm embarrassed because I so bad want to go, man, I love that suit. Here's a card. I'd love to set up an appointment with you. But if he said, oh, what do you do? I own a custom clothing company. Well, it doesn't look like it. That's the position we want to make sure our franchisees or their sales reps aren't in. So to answer your question on marketing, it's a hybrid between you've got to be a part of the community. You got to be a part of networking groups. That's to start. We're going to do a ribbon cutting with the Chamber of Commerce, get the word out. And then we do a lot of B2B partnerships. So what we want to do is partner with the country clubs, yacht clubs, cigar lounges, casinos. We do NIL deals with your local universities. We do conventions, expos, summits for attorneys and bankers and all those industries. And that's how we generate a lot of our leads, is kind of boots on the ground, grassroots marketing.
I could see a lot of obvious tie-ins with any organization, any group that wears a suit. You can walk into a private bank and know everybody's still wearing a suit and they want to look great, and they see you and they're like, come on in. How do you end up, what is the pitch when you meet these folks? How long does this take? Measurements, explaining the fabrics, the process?
So it's actually not that long of a pitch. And some of the things that we teach our sales reps or our franchisees is it's all about getting to know the people first, right? And once you tell people you're in custom clothing and you make the clothing, use that to your advantage. Our franchisees get to tell people, I made this, right? Our sales reps get to tell people, I'm a clothier. I actually made this. No way. That's cool. People are interested in that versus I sell real estate or I sell insurance. We want them to use that to their advantage. The other thing that we give them is credibility. And the way we do this is we make suits for some of the biggest celebrities in the world. Eli Manning is one of our clients. Drew Brees is one of our clients. Barron Trump buys suits for me. It's incredible, and it speaks to the service, the quality of the product, the speed, the affordability. And it's not Nathan Pearce, founder at Pearce BeSpoke, fits Eli Manning and Drew Brees and Barron Trump. It's we, the franchise system. And that's the benefit of being in a franchise. And a lot of these mom and pops can't compete with that. So our owners get to use that to their advantage.
Yeah, that's great. So this is what I would call the show me the money segment. You've already given us a peek under the tent or under the coat jacket uh, as far as what you can make, whether you're an independent or owner operator or an absentee or semi-absentee owner. So I know that the margins are great. What do you lay out in that item 19?
Yeah. So the way we built our item 19 is actually based on clothiers, the term I've kept using, or sales reps. The reason we built it this way is because whether you're an owner operator, which would represent a clothier, or you're a semi absentee owner, which would be looking to hire those clothiers, you can run the math on what revenue looks like based on the number of sales reps that you would hire. So in our item 19, we had 3 full-time, full calendar year clothiers that worked that we've represented. The average performance, average revenue per clothier is actually 125 grand in annual revenue. So on that 125, if you're a semi-absentee owner, you just go, okay, well, I'll hire 4 sales reps times 124. And that's kind of the revenue that I could expect based on the item 19.
Exactly. I want in that math, what is that? 550 or so. That was quick math.
Yep. Yep.
550
and the same,
grand.
Yeah. And the same goes for more of like the owner operator model. So year one, I could expect maybe selling myself about 125 grand a year.
On a $75,000 investment, that's great. Good stuff.
With a 70% product margin.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. So you have, I mean, at this point, you're really picking up speed. What are some of the hottest territories still available?
Yeah, I love it. So we have registration in California. You've got LA that's still available, which blows my mind, but we haven't had it that long. So we're making our way through California right now. Arizona, Phoenix and Scottsdale are both still open. Colorado, I've got some candidates in the pipeline right now, but you've got like Denver that would be an incredible market.
Yeah.
Midwest, we're starting to kind of make our way there right now, but I would say even smaller markets like your college towns, Tuscaloosa, Alabama, Auburn, Alabama, these little SEC, ACC towns. We actually have a smaller micro model for someone that doesn't want a 200,000 population, but there's still plenty of wealth in that area for them to be able to jump in and sell plenty of products.
Yeah. I love the way you're expanding the lines as well and getting into women's clothing. Do you have any women that are actual owners right now?
Yeah. So it's more husband-wife duos. And they are awesome. Absolutely love them. Lots of women managers. And then what's crazy right now is it started pretty heavily with men sales reps, men clothiers. It has taken a turn. I mean, it is quickly shifting to majority women clothiers that are coming into the system. And we're super excited about that.
That's awesome. I mean, that's, every man wants a woman to dress them up. And that's, I guess, part of the fantasy of it, right? So I want a woman to measure me and tell me what's going to look good on me, right?
So
my wife is listening from downstairs. Just kidding, honey.
It has a lot to do with it, though. It's you think of women having taste and being able to kind of help you pick out. Most men want guidance, especially our customers that we're seeing right now, because our biggest target market, like I said earlier, young professionals. It's a lot of first-time custom suit buyers, and it plays into that affordability. But when you're dealing with first-time custom clothing buyers, they want guidance. They don't have a lot of confidence yet into what goes with what. And I think that's where you're spot on. Females can kind of give that guidance, and they're a lot more inclined to listen to it.
I'm curious on the fabrics. Are there regional fabrics? Is houndstooth more popular in some areas? Obviously, heavier fabrics like a wool might be better in the Northeast. How does that work?
Yeah, for sure. So we actually have, all the data getting tracked on every single territory. But as you can imagine, your colder climates are selling a lot more heavier weight wools. They're selling more outerwear. Your rainier climates are selling a lot more rain jackets. And as you get further down south, it's a lot more, even the styling. It's not just the fabrics, but they're lighter weight down south where it's hotter, but they're also more deconstructed garments. So there's not full lining on the inside. It's literally just one layer of fabric. It's soft shoulders. They want it to be comfortable, breathable, but it's absolutely climate based.
Yeah. I mean, look, anybody listening, they can hear your passion. This is a fun brand. There's a lot of boring, unsexy businesses. This is a fun, sexy brand that's obviously going places. Final thoughts, final words of wisdom for our audience.
Yeah. So final thoughts would be, if you're going to set your mind to something, I think back to not only when I first started franchising, but when I first started clothing in general. And, the only reason I'm here today is because I took some huge chances that people thought I was absolutely crazy for. And I don't even think it has anything to do with age, but, for any young people out there listening, it's all about swinging for the fences when you're in your 20s, when you're in your 30s, because you don't have as much responsibility then. And if you fail, who cares, right? But it's only going to set you up for experiences that's going to set you up for the next thing that you're going to go after. And that's what people are looking for. They're looking for, what would you rather have? Someone that took a risk and has a really cool story to tell about it, or someone that didn't swing for the fences. And I think at the end of the day, you got to go for stuff. Life is short.
I love that advice. And I tell people all the time, the reason people get into a franchise is it's a safe bet. You get to see the system unfold in front of you. You get to know when you're talking to Mr. Nathan Pearce, you get to understand what franchisees have gone through. You'll talk to the franchisees and you start to feel comfortable. Is this something that I can do or not? And
for sure.
Who couldn't do this? I mean, if you don't like people, this isn't the thing for you, right?
Oh, for sure. For sure. 100%. I think, we look for really two things. You're either way, you got to look the part. I laugh about this all the time because it's an example would be Farmer Joe. Farmer Joe could be the best salesman of all time, but if he's wearing overalls in the custom clothing business, he's probably not going to get a lot of suits sold. And look the part has to be a part of this for us.
I love it. Well, Nathan, thank you so much. Pearce BeSpoke, modernized mobile tailoring coming to your town. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure. If you're ready to talk about franchise opportunities, hit the link below to schedule a call. My services are free. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for listening.